Elise Carmichael had always approached her career at Sterling and Finch with a quiet, unwavering optimism, a belief in the inherent fairness of hard work and merit. She'd started as a junior associate, fresh out of law school, and for 7 years, she'd poured her soul into the firm, meticulously crafting briefs, navigating labyrinthine corporate law, and often burning the midnight oil with a dedication that bordered on reverence. Her initial years were a blur of learning, fueled by the camaraderie of her peers and the mentorship of senior partners like Griffin Hayes, a man whose gruff exterior hid a surprisingly keen mind and a genuine commitment to his associates' growth. Elise found a quiet satisfaction in the predictable rhythm of her days, the intellectual challenge, and the occasional, exhilarating triumph of a successfully closed deal. She truly believed that if she kept her head down, worked diligently, and upheld the firm's values, her efforts would be recognized, leading inevitably to the partnership she secretly, fiercely coveted. This conviction was her bedrock, a stable foundation in a world that often felt chaotic. She saw the firm not just as a workplace, but as a meritocracy, a place where talent and integrity would always prevail. The long hours, the demanding clients, the endless revisions, they were all part of the journey, stepping stones towards a future she had meticulously planned. She even relished the occasional late-night pizza runs with fellow associates, the shared exhaustion and the unspoken understanding that they were all in this together, striving for a common goal. Her desk, perpetually organized, reflected her methodical approach to life, a neat stack of case files, a precisely aligned pen, and a single, framed photograph of her and her sister, a constant reminder of the personal life she worked so hard to balance with her demanding career. It was a life she had carefully constructed, built on the pillars of hard work, integrity, and a hopeful vision of the future. The firm, in her eyes, was an extension of that vision, a place where justice, albeit corporate justice, was upheld. She often recalled the initial interview with managing partner, Liam Thatcher, whose stern but fair demeanor had resonated with her deeply, reinforcing her conviction that this was the right place to build her career. She remembered his words, echoing in her mind, "We value dedication, Elise, but more importantly, we value character." This statement, more than any other, had cemented her loyalty. She truly felt a sense of belonging, a part of something larger than herself, a collective striving for excellence. The firm's logo, a stylized eagle soaring upwards, felt emblematic of her own aspirations. She dreamed of the day her name would be added to the firm's letterhead, a testament to years of unwavering commitment. She envisioned herself, years down the line, mentoring young associates, just as Griffin Hayes had mentored her, passing on the torch of dedication and ethical practice. The legal cases themselves, with their intricate details and high stakes, were like complex puzzles she enjoyed solving, each successful resolution a small victory that propelled her forward. There was a particular satisfaction in untangling a thorny legal problem, in finding the elusive clause or precedent that could turn the tide. This quiet, almost academic joy was intertwined with her professional ambition. The first tremor in Elise's perfectly constructed world came subtly, almost imperceptibly, in the form of increased scrutiny from Adrian Cross, a senior partner known for his sharp suits and even sharper tongue. Initially, Elise dismissed his pointed questions about her billing hours and her handling of the massive Maxwell Enterprises merger as the usual rigorous oversight. But the comments grew more frequent, more pointed, always delivered with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. "Just ensuring efficiency, Elise," he would purr, his words laced with a condescension that prickled her skin. She found herself increasingly staying late, poring over her time sheets, double-checking every detail, a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. She'd always prided herself on her meticulousness, so the implication of sloppiness gnawed at her. She started to notice small changes in her workflow too. Important emails seemed to arrive just after she'd left for the day, crucial documents were sometimes misfiled, and once, a key piece of correspondence mysteriously vanished from her desk, only to reappear hours later in a different folder. These were minor annoyances, easily explained away as administrative errors or the chaos of a busy office, but cumulatively, they began to chip away at her composure. The once familiar hum of the office now seemed to carry a faint, almost imperceptible dissonance. Her sleep, once deep and restorative, became fractured. She'd wake in the dead of night, her mind racing, replaying conversations with Adrian, dissecting his every word, searching for hidden meanings. Had she misinterpreted his tone? Was she being overly sensitive? The doubts, like insidious tendrils, began to coil around her once unshakable confidence. She found herself checking her phone constantly, even on weekends, dreading the next email, the next veiled criticism. The easy camaraderie she'd once shared with some of her colleagues felt strained. Conversations with Mason Carlisle, a colleague she'd considered a close friend, grew stilted, punctuated by uncomfortable silences. Mason, usually so open, now seemed evasive, his gaze shifting when she brought up her concerns about Adrian. "Just a tough boss, Elise," he'd mumble, quickly changing the subject, and a chill would run down her spine. The air in the office, once charged with productive energy, now felt heavy, thick with an unspoken tension. Elise started to feel isolated, a growing sense of paranoia creeping into her thoughts. She found herself scrutinizing every interaction, searching for clues, for confirmation of her growing suspicions. The once clear path to partnership now seemed shrouded in an unsettling fog, the outline of her future blurred by a burgeoning sense of dread. The firm's polished veneer, once so reassuring, now felt like a fragile mask, barely concealing something darker beneath. She started carrying a small notebook, jotting down dates, times, and specific instances of Adrian's unsettling behavior, a nascent, almost subconscious urge to document what she couldn't yet articulate. Her appetite waned, and the taste of her morning coffee, once a simple pleasure, became bitter. The cheerful morning greetings she once exchanged with Maya Bradford, a paralegal who always had a kind word, now felt forced, the smiles brittle. Even the quiet confidence she once possessed in court began to falter, a fleeting moment of self-doubt creeping in before she could quash it. The weight of the unspoken hung heavy in the air, a silent predator stalking her peace of mind. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage, her thoughts echoing off the walls, a relentless loop of anxiety. The city lights outside her window, once a comforting glow, seemed to mock her sleepless nights. She began to view her meticulousness not as a strength, but as a weapon Adrian was using against her, twisting her dedication into a perceived weakness. Her fear wasn't just about her job, it was about her very identity, her belief in a just world. The pressure intensified, becoming a palpable, suffocating weight. Adrian Cross began openly discrediting Elise's work in meetings, his criticisms cloaked in professional language but delivered with a thinly veiled malice. He'd interrupt her presentations, interjecting with minor clarifications that subtly undermined her arguments, or suggest alternative approaches that were clearly inferior but served to highlight his authority. During one particularly crucial meeting with the Bellwether Corporation, a major potential client, Adrian deliberately withheld a critical financial report that Elise had prepared, making her appear unprepared and incompetent. The client's expressions, initially engaged, shifted to polite skepticism, and Elise felt a hot flush of humiliation creep up her neck. Her voice, usually steady, trembled slightly as she tried to improvise, her mind racing to fill the sudden, gaping hole in her presentation. After the meeting, Adrian pulled her aside, his voice low and menacing. "Carelessness, Elise. That's what costs us clients." But there was no carelessness, there was sabotage. The microaggressions escalated to overt psychological manipulation. He'd assign her impossible deadlines, then feign surprise when she struggled to meet them. He'd spread subtle rumors about her lack of commitment or her difficulty with teamwork, whispers that reached her ears through sympathetic but scared colleagues. Lila Montgomery, a paralegal she had once shared many laughs with, now avoided eye contact, her hurried good mornings a stark contrast to their previous friendly banter. Even Griffin Hayes, who had always been her staunchest supporter, seemed to be keeping his distance, his once warm demeanor replaced by a distant, troubled look. The silence from him was perhaps the most unsettling betrayal of all, a vacuum where her trust had once resided. Elise started experiencing panic attacks, sudden surges of icy dread that would seize her in the middle of the workday, making her breath shallow and her hands clammy. She'd retreat to the women's restroom, splashing cold water on her face, trying to regain control. Insomnia became her constant companion, the hours ticking by in the darkness, each minute an agonizing eternity filled with swirling anxieties and fragmented thoughts of work. Her apartment, once a haven, now felt like a prison. The vibrant colors of her life began to dim, replaced by a monochrome existence dominated by fear. She lost weight, her once sharp features now hollowed by stress. The mirror reflected a stranger, a woman with haunted eyes and a perpetually worried frown. The joy she once found in her hobbies, in simple pleasures like reading or cooking, evaporated. Her social life withered, she cancelled plans with friends, too exhausted and too consumed by her internal turmoil to pretend to be normal. The constant mental battle left her drained, utterly depleted. She felt like a trapped animal, thrashing against invisible binds, each struggle only tightening the knot around her. The once clear distinction between work and personal life had blurred into an indistinguishable, suffocating fog. Every waking moment was spent dissecting Adrian's words, his expressions, searching for patterns, for weaknesses, for a way out of the insidious web he was weaving around her. She felt herself shrinking, her once vibrant personality being slowly eroded by the relentless psychological assault. The legal jargon that had once brought her comfort now seemed to mock her, a language of precision used to inflict imprecise, profound pain. The fear was not just of losing her job, but of losing herself. A turning point arrived not in a dramatic confrontation, but in the quiet, desperate hours of a sleepless night. Elise, staring at the ceiling, felt a sudden, sharp clarity pierce through the fog of her anxiety. She was being systematically dismantled, and her passive acceptance, born of a naive belief in the system, was only facilitating her own destruction. The thought, stark and undeniable, was both terrifying and liberating. Her mind, racing, began to connect the dots, the missing documents, the delayed emails, the public humiliations, Mason's evasiveness, Griffin's sudden distance. It wasn't incompetence, it was a deliberate, calculated campaign to force her out. The realization hardened her resolve. The fear that had paralyzed her began to transmute into a cold, fierce anger. She knew then that she couldn't fight this with emotional pleas or desperate attempts to prove her worth. She needed to fight it strategically, with documentation and irrefutable evidence. The next morning, a subtle but profound shift occurred in her demeanor. The haunted look in her eyes was replaced by a steely glint, the anxious tremor in her hands by a new steadiness. She acquired a small, nondescript voice recorder and began carrying it everywhere, activating it discreetly before any interaction with Adrian. She started meticulously archiving every email, every memo, every document related to her cases, creating an exhaustive digital fortress. She kept a detailed journal, not of her feelings, but of facts, dates, times, specific instances of Adrian's sabotage, verbatim quotes, the names of witnesses. She became a silent observer, a data collector, her emotional distress now channeled into a methodical pursuit of truth. Her interactions with Adrian, though still outwardly polite, were now laced with a subtle defiance, a quiet refusal to be broken. She would meet his gaze directly, her expression unreadable, a silent challenge in her eyes. She started to seek out conversations with colleagues she still trusted, not for sympathy, but for information, for confirmation of patterns she was observing. She discreetly approached Zoe Callahan, a junior associate known for her sharp observations, under the guise of general work discussions, carefully probing for any similar experiences or concerns. Zoe, while initially hesitant, eventually confided in Elise about some odd occurrences she'd noticed regarding Adrian's behavior towards other female associates. This small validation, this shared suspicion, fueled Elise's resolve further. She began to meticulously cross-reference Adrian's schedule with her own, noting any overlaps or inconsistencies. The insomnia, though still present, transformed from a torment into an opportunity. She used the quiet hours of the night to organize her evidence, creating spreadsheets and timelines, building an undeniable case against him. The panic attacks lessened, replaced by a quiet, determined focus. She felt a resurgence of her analytical mind, a return to the logical, methodical approach that had defined her legal career. The victim mentality began to recede, replaced by the mindset of a strategist. The feeling of being trapped was slowly giving way to a burgeoning sense of control, a nascent hope that she could, indeed, fight back. Each documented instance, each recorded conversation, was a brick in the wall she was building, a defense against the insidious assault on her career and her sanity. The firm's eagle logo, once a symbol of her aspiration, now felt like a predatory bird she was trying to outwit. The turning point was subtle, almost imperceptible to others, but profound for Elise. It was the moment she stopped reacting and started acting, the shift from defensive to offensive. The first strategic move was to discreetly reach out to Scarlett Albright, a former partner at Sterling and Finch who had left under somewhat mysterious circumstances a few years prior. Elise had always admired Scarlett's sharp intellect and unwavering integrity, and she knew Scarlett wouldn't betray her confidence. Under the pretense of seeking career advice, Elise arranged a coffee meeting far from the firm. She spoke vaguely at first, hinting at difficult workplace dynamics, but as Scarlett listened intently, her expression unreadable, Elise felt a surge of courage. She laid out her suspicions, presenting the patterns of Adrian's behavior, carefully omitting specific details that could compromise her nascent investigation. Scarlett's eyes, usually so keen, softened with understanding. "I know Adrian, Elise," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "He always had a way of cutting people out." She didn't offer explicit confirmation of Adrian's past wrongdoings, but her subtle nod, the knowing glance, was all the validation Elise needed. Scarlett then offered crucial advice: document everything. Build an irrefutable case. And most importantly, find your leverage. What does Adrian stand to lose? This conversation ignited a new fire in Elise. Her next step was to carefully observe Adrian's habits and weaknesses. She noticed his meticulousness with certain clients, particularly the highly lucrative Maxwell Enterprises account, which she had been instrumental in securing. She also observed his subtle but undeniable favoritism towards a new junior associate, Piper Alden, a young woman fresh out of law school who seemed to be fast-tracked for opportunities Elise had worked years to earn. A flicker of suspicion ignited in Elise's mind. Was Adrian trying to replace her, using Piper as his new protégé? This thought, though unconfirmed, added another layer to her motivation. She began to subtly gather information about Adrian's financial dealings, using publicly available records and a few discreet inquiries with old university contacts who had worked with him at previous firms. She discovered a pattern of aggressive, almost reckless investments, and a surprising number of personal debts. The picture began to emerge. Adrian wasn't just a bully, he was a man under financial pressure, possibly desperate to secure his own position and boost his income, even at the expense of others. Her relationship with Mason Carlisle, once a source of comfort, now became a careful dance. She knew Mason was close to Adrian, and while she still suspected him of being complicit in some way, she also recognized his fear. Instead of confronting him, she subtly hinted at her growing concerns, planting seeds of doubt, observing his reactions. She watched as his usual bluster began to fray, replaced by an uneasy silence. She understood that Mason was not actively betraying her, but was rather a passive observer, paralyzed by fear for his own career. This realization, while disappointing, also gave her a certain advantage. She knew he wouldn't actively work against her if he sensed she was building a strong case. Her conversations with Griffin Hayes, however, remained strained. She tried to gauge his reaction to subtle hints about Adrian's behavior, but he remained non-committal, retreating behind a wall of professional detachment. This stung the most. The mentor who had once guided her seemed to have abandoned her, prioritizing the firm's stability over individual justice. Yet, even this disappointment fueled her, solidifying her resolve to fight not just for herself, but for the principle of fairness she believed the firm was supposed to embody. She began working even longer hours, but now with a focused, almost predatory energy, the exhaustion replaced by a cold, calculating determination. The constant fear had morphed into a quiet fury, a righteous indignation that propelled her forward. She was no longer just surviving, she was actively preparing for battle. The intricate dance of corporate law, once her passion, now felt like a weapon she was honing, ready to deploy. Elise's quiet transformation from victim to meticulous strategist was now in full swing. She continued to document everything, her voice recorder a silent witness to Adrian's increasingly brazen attempts to undermine her. In one meeting, she recorded him explicitly blaming her for a client's dissatisfaction, twisting facts and fabricating details, his voice calm and authoritative, yet dripping with a venom that made her stomach churn. The audio, though damning, was just one piece of a growing mosaic of injustice. She also discreetly began to cultivate relationships with key administrative staff, particularly Nora Bennett, a seemingly unassuming but remarkably observant executive assistant who handled much of Adrian's scheduling and correspondence. Elise, under the guise of needing help with complex filing systems, spent extra time with Nora, slowly building rapport. She'd bring Nora coffee, offer to help with small tasks, and listen patiently to her workplace frustrations. Over time, Nora, sensing Elise's genuine nature and perhaps recognizing the injustice unfolding, began to offer subtle, almost imperceptible hints. "Mr. Cross has been very particular about certain files lately," she might say, or "he's been spending a lot of time with Ms. Alden." These seemingly innocuous comments, combined with Elise's own observations, formed crucial puzzle pieces. Nora even, on one occasion, accidentally left a confidential memo concerning the Maxwell Enterprises account on her desk while she stepped away for a moment, knowing Elise would be there. The memo, a seemingly minor internal communication, revealed that Adrian had been secretly negotiating a side deal with Maxwell, using information Elise had meticulously gathered, and presenting it as his own initiative, effectively cutting her out of the substantial bonus she was due. This discovery, raw and infuriating, was the definitive proof of financial betrayal she had been seeking. It wasn't just about discrediting her. It was about stealing her due. The professional slight had deepened into outright theft. The evidence was now irrefutable. Elise's relationship with her personal life had become almost non-existent. Her sister, Isabella, called frequently, her voice laced with concern, but Elise, consumed by her strategic moves, kept her at arm's length, offering vague assurances. Sleep was still elusive, but the dark hours were now spent not in anxious rumination, but in silent, methodical planning. She researched corporate law precedents, studied firm policies on ethical conduct, and even consulted with a trusted, anonymous online legal forum for advice on how to proceed without prematurely exposing her hand. Her interactions with Mason Carlyle continued to be a careful dance. She knew he was aware of Adrian's unethical behavior, but his fear of reprisal kept him silent. One afternoon, finding him alone in the break room, she decided to push. "Mason," she said, her voice low and even, "are you comfortable with what's happening here? With how Adrian is treating people, and specifically, how he's handled the Maxwell account?" Mason flinched, spilling a little of his coffee. He looked around nervously, then whispered, "Elise, you need to be careful. He's powerful." But his eyes, filled with a mixture of fear and regret, told her everything she needed to know. He wouldn't help her, but he wouldn't actively oppose her either. This was a confirmation of his silent complicity, but also a sign that he wouldn't stand in her way if she went public. The situation with Griffin Hayes, however, remained a source of deep disappointment. She made one last attempt to speak with him, catching him in his office late one evening. She hinted at serious ethical breaches and potential harm to the firm's reputation. Griffin listened, his face impassive, then simply said, "Elise, I trust my partners. If you have concerns, follow proper channels." His words were a cold dismissal, a clear indication that he was choosing to remain willfully blind, prioritizing the firm's public image over individual justice. The realization that her former mentor would not stand by her, even in the face of demonstrable wrongdoing, solidified her resolve. She was truly on her own, and that realization, paradoxically, strengthened her. The firm, once a beacon of professional aspiration, now felt like a battleground, and she was preparing for war. The emotional tension inside Elise reached a crescendo. The methodical collection of evidence, while empowering, was also an immense psychological burden. She felt like she was living a double life, outwardly calm and professional, inwardly a whirlwind of calculated anger and strategic planning. The weight of her secret, the knowledge of Adrian's deceit and the complicity of others, pressed down on her, making every interaction feel like a performance. The insomnia became more intense, the lines blurring between wakefulness and restless, anxiety-ridden dreams of legal battles and betrayals. She started to experience physical manifestations of stress, a constant knot in her stomach, persistent headaches, and an almost imperceptible tremor in her hands when she was alone. The thought of losing everything, her career, her reputation, her financial stability, was a chilling companion. Yet, beneath the fear, a powerful current of determination surged. She wasn't fighting just for herself anymore, she was fighting for justice, for the principle that integrity should prevail. This conviction, fiercely held, was her anchor in the turbulent waters of her professional life. The carefully documented proof of Adrian's fraudulent activities regarding the Maxwell Enterprises account, combined with the voice recordings of his verbal abuse and public undermining, formed a formidable arsenal. She had even managed to obtain, through a cleverly worded request to Nora Bennett, a copy of Adrian's travel expenses, which, upon closer inspection, revealed suspiciously frequent trips to a small, obscure firm in a different state, a firm that, through further discreet research, Elise discovered was managed by Adrian's brother-in-law. This was the final, damning piece of the puzzle. He was not only siphoning off her legitimate earnings but also potentially engaging in more elaborate schemes involving his family, bleeding the firm from within. The magnitude of his deception was breathtaking, and the potential repercussions for Sterling and Finch were enormous. She recognized that the exposure of this web of deceit would send shockwaves through the firm, potentially damaging its reputation irrevocably. This was her ultimate leverage. She had to choose her moment, and her method, carefully. The thought of confronting Adrian directly, or going straight to Liam Thatcher, filled her with a nervous energy, a mix of dread and exhilaration. She knew she had only one shot to get it right. She drafted a meticulously detailed report, cross-referencing every piece of evidence, every date, every quote, every email. She envisioned the firm's reaction, the shock, the denial, the eventual acceptance of the undeniable. She considered leaking the information to the press, but quickly dismissed it. Her goal wasn't just revenge, it was the restoration of justice within the system she still, fundamentally, believed in. She wanted Adrian exposed and removed, but she also wanted the firm to acknowledge its failings and to regain its ethical compass. The thought of having to rebuild her career, if this went wrong, was terrifying, but the thought of continuing to endure Adrian's abuse was even more so. She felt a profound sense of isolation, but also an unexpected strength born from that solitude. She was a lone warrior, armed with truth, ready to face the Goliath that was Sterling and Finch and its corrupted partner. Her final preparation was mental. She visualized the confrontation, rehearsed her arguments, anticipated potential counter-arguments, and decided on her absolute bottom line. There would be no compromise, no backing down. This was a battle for her professional soul, and she was ready to fight it to the very end. The weight on her shoulders was immense, but so was the burgeoning sense of power that came with knowing she held the truth, a truth that could bring down an empire. The day of reckoning arrived with a deceptive calm. Elise had scheduled a private meeting with Liam Thatcher, the managing partner, under the pretext of discussing a complex aspect of the Maxwell Enterprises case. She arrived at the opulent executive floor, her heart thudding a frantic rhythm against her ribs, but her external demeanor was one of cool, collected professionalism. She carried a sleek, nondescript briefcase containing her meticulously compiled evidence. The anticipation was a sharp, almost painful ache, a culmination of months of anxiety, fear, and calculated preparation. As she walked down the hushed hallway towards Liam's office, she passed Mason Carlyle, who offered a quick, nervous nod, his eyes darting away quickly. She saw Zoe Callahan at her desk, engrossed in a document, and for a fleeting moment, Elise felt a pang of regret for the friends she might lose in the impending storm. But the feeling quickly dissipated, replaced by a steely resolve. Liam Thatcher, an imposing figure with a reputation for shrewdness and an unyielding commitment to the firm's standing, greeted her with his customary reserved politeness. His office, with its panoramic city views and heavy mahogany furniture, felt like the inner sanctum of power. "Elise, come in," he said, gesturing to the chair opposite his large desk. He folded his hands, his expression expectant. Elise took a deep breath, the scent of polished wood and old money filling her nostrils. She began by calmly outlining the specific issues she had identified with the Maxwell Enterprises account, framing it initially as a matter of financial discrepancies and procedural irregularities. She spoke in precise, legalistic terms, building her case brick by brick, referring to documents by their file names, maintaining a detached, professional tone. Liam listened intently, his brow furrowing slightly as she presented what appeared, on the surface, to be simple accounting errors. Then, slowly, methodically, Elise began to reveal the deeper layers of deception. She presented the evidence of Adrian Cross's deliberate manipulation of financial data, her own efforts to bring it to light, and his subsequent systematic attempts to discredit her. She laid out the meticulously detailed timeline of his sabotage, cross-referencing it with the now damning private negotiations with Adrian's brother-in-law's firm. She played select snippets from her voice recordings, Adrian's calm, authoritative voice twisting facts, blaming her, lying. The sound filled the quiet office, a chilling testament to his duplicity. Liam's expression shifted from professional interest to profound shock, then to a growing, incandescent fury. His face, usually so composed, became flushed, his jaw clenching. When Elise presented the memo about the hidden bonus scheme and the siphoning of funds through his brother-in-law's shell company, Liam slammed his fist lightly on the desk. "Are you certain of this, Elise?" he demanded, his voice low and dangerous, each word laced with suppressed rage. "Absolutely, Mr. Thatcher," she replied, her voice firm, unwavering. She then presented the full, comprehensive report, along with copies of all her supporting evidence. "This isn't just about me, Mr. Thatcher," she continued, her voice gaining strength. "This is about the integrity of Sterling and Finch. This is about a partner who has systematically defrauded the firm and undermined its employees." Liam Thatcher leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowed, staring at the panoramic view outside his window as if seeking answers in the cityscape. The silence in the room was heavy, punctuated only by the distant hum of city traffic. Elise held her breath, the culmination of months of anguish hanging in the air. This was her moment, her turning point. The powerful climax of her long struggle began not with an explosion, but with a quiet, devastating implosion. The quiet implosion in Liam Thatcher's office quickly escalated into a controlled detonation. Liam, after a long, tense silence, turned back to Elise, his gaze piercing. "Thank you, Elise," he said, his voice now dangerously calm. "Leave this with me. Do not speak to anyone about this, not even Adrian. Carry on with your duties as normal." His words were a clear directive, a sign that her gamble had paid off. She knew the firm would handle this internally to protect its reputation, and that meant justice for her, albeit behind closed doors. She left his office with a profound sense of relief, a lightness she hadn't felt in months. The crushing weight of fear and uncertainty had been lifted. The victory, though quiet, was palpable. The following days were a blur of hushed whispers and strange absences. Adrian Cross was conspicuously absent from meetings. His office door remained closed, his name conspicuously missing from the daily calendar. Rumors, like wildfire, began to spread through the firm, hushed conversations about an urgent leave of absence, a family emergency. Elise maintained a poker face, deflecting questions with vague responses, a silent witness to the unfolding consequences of her actions. Then, the internal memo arrived, terse and formal, announcing Adrian Cross's immediate departure from Sterling and Finch, citing irreconcilable differences and wishing him well in his future endeavors. There was no mention of the true reasons, no public shaming, but for Elise, it was a triumphant vindication. The vague wording was enough for those who knew the unspoken truths. A few days later, a more personal communication landed in her inbox, an email from Liam Thatcher, formal yet unmistakably apologetic. It acknowledged her extraordinary dedication and keen eye for detail and informed her of her immediate promotion to senior partner, effective immediately, along with a substantial retroactive bonus that included the full amount she had been denied on the Maxwell Enterprises deal. The message was clear: she had been heard, her concerns validated, and her loyalty rewarded. The implicit apology for what she had endured was louder than any explicit one could have been. The restoration of justice was swift and comprehensive. She felt a surge of empowerment, a deep satisfaction that her strategic thinking and unwavering commitment to truth had prevailed. The sense of isolation that had plagued her for so long dissipated, replaced by a quiet pride. Her integrity had not only survived but had triumphed. The firm, by correcting its course, had reaffirmed its commitment to the very principles she believed in. The immediate aftermath of Adrian's departure and Elise's promotion brought a strange, almost surreal calm to Sterling and Finch. The office, once thick with unspoken tension, now felt lighter, the air clearer. Elise found herself walking through the hallways with a renewed sense of purpose, her head held high. Colleagues who had once avoided her gaze now met it with deferential smiles. Mason Carlyle, looking genuinely relieved, approached her one morning by the coffee machine. "Elise," he said, his voice low, I'm truly sorry. I should have said something. I was a coward." Elise looked at him, recognizing the raw honesty in his eyes. She didn't offer effusive forgiveness, but a simple, understanding nod. "It's over, Mason," she said, and that was enough. The unspoken acknowledgement of his silence and her new position created a new, more honest dynamic between them. He had seen the truth, even if he hadn't acted on it, and now he was seeing the consequences. Zoe Callahan, the observant junior associate, approached her later that week, her face alight with admiration. "Congratulations, Elise," she said warmly. "Everyone knows you earned it." Her genuine happiness was a balm to Elise's soul. These small interactions, this quiet acknowledgement from those who had witnessed Adrian's behavior, were as validating as the promotion itself. Her relationship with Griffin Hayes remained somewhat distant. He offered a polite but perfunctory congratulation, his eyes still holding a hint of guardedness. Elise understood. He had chosen the firm's stability over her individual struggle, and while she could, intellectually, understand the motivations of a senior partner, the emotional wound lingered. It was a reminder that some relationships, once broken, could only be partially mended. The firm itself underwent subtle but significant shifts. Liam Thatcher initiated a series of internal reviews, seemingly focused on optimizing internal communications and strengthening ethical guidelines. Elise knew this was a direct response to her revelations, a tacit admission of the firm's vulnerability to internal corruption. She was consulted on several of these initiatives, her insights valued, her quiet authority respected. The new junior associate, Piper Alden, who Adrian had favored, approached Elise with a shy humility. "I just wanted to say," she began, "I admired your work on the Maxwell case. You were always so thorough." Elise, recognizing a similar drive and talent in Piper, extended a hand of genuine mentorship. It was a symbolic passing of the torch, a subtle rebuke to Adrian's manipulative tactics, and a reaffirmation of the firm's true values. Life outside of work slowly began to normalize. The constant anxiety that had gnawed at her receded, replaced by a sense of peace. She started sleeping soundly again, the terrifying dreams replaced by restful slumber. Her appetite returned, and the taste of food, once bland, now held flavor again. She reconnected with her sister, Isabella, pouring out the details of her ordeal, finding catharsis in the telling. Isabella, always her rock, listened with unwavering support, her hugs a warm embrace that healed old wounds. Elise started spending weekends pursuing her hobbies again, rediscovering the simple joys of reading and cooking. The city lights outside her apartment window, once a symbol of her sleepless nights, now twinkled with a quiet promise, a reflection of the renewed hope within her. She was no longer just a survivor, she was a thriver, a testament to resilience and the power of fighting for one's truth. The experience had scarred her, yes, but it had also forged her, transforming her into a stronger, more discerning, and ultimately, more compassionate leader. The eagle, the firm's logo, now seemed to soar not just upwards, but with renewed purpose, its wings representing not just ambition, but integrity. Elise's promotion brought not just a change in title and compensation, but a fundamental shift in her daily responsibilities and her standing within Sterling and Finch. She was now privy to high-level strategic discussions, her opinions sought after and genuinely considered by Liam Thatcher and other senior partners. She found herself leading more complex cases, often with a team of junior associates and paralegals looking to her for guidance. This newfound leadership role was both exhilarating and demanding, pushing her to grow beyond her comfort zone as a meticulous legal technician. She relished the intellectual challenge, the opportunity to shape the firm's direction, and the ability to foster a more ethical and supportive environment for her team. She made a conscious effort to be the mentor she wished she'd had during her early struggles, ensuring her junior associates felt heard and valued, actively countering any hints of the toxic dynamics she had experienced. She instituted regular, open-door policy hours, encouraging her team to voice concerns, no matter how small. She also spearheaded initiatives to revise the firm's internal reporting mechanisms for ethical grievances, making the process more transparent and accessible, a direct result of her own difficult journey. These changes, though incremental, began to ripple through the firm, fostering a more open and accountable culture. The subtle shift in power dynamics was also evident. Partners who had once been indifferent to her plight now sought her counsel, subtly acknowledging her acumen and resilience. There was a quiet respect in their interactions, a recognition that she had navigated a difficult situation with grace and strategic brilliance. She found herself having more frequent, substantive conversations with Liam Thatcher, who, while still reserved, showed a clear admiration for her strength and her commitment to the firm's integrity. He often referred challenging ethical dilemmas to her, trusting her judgment and her newly forged moral compass. The firm, still reeling from the internal shockwaves of Adrian's departure, looked to her as a symbol of renewed ethical strength. Her personal life, which had been put on hold, gradually flourished. She began dating again, cautiously at first, but with a newfound confidence. She found companionship with Rhys Donovan, a kind and understanding architect who listened patiently to her stories, offering a grounded presence amidst the lingering intensity of her professional life. She also cultivated deeper friendships outside of the firm, finding solace and perspective in relationships not tied to her career. Her bond with her sister, Isabella, grew even stronger, their shared history and Isabella's unwavering support having forged an unbreakable connection. The journey had been arduous, leaving indelible marks, but it had also refined her, sharpening her instincts and strengthening her resolve. She carried the lessons of betrayal and injustice, but also the triumph of resilience. She understood that trust, once broken, was difficult to fully restore, but also that true integrity could ultimately prevail. The firm, while not entirely purged of its imperfections, was on a path towards greater transparency and accountability, and Elise knew, with a quiet certainty, that she had played a crucial role in that transformation. Her initial naive belief in the system had been shattered, only to be rebuilt into a more nuanced, realistic, and ultimately, more powerful understanding of how justice truly unfolds. She was no longer just an attorney, she was an advocate, not just for her clients, but for the fundamental principles of fairness within her own professional sphere. Her story became an unspoken legend within the firm, a cautionary tale for those who would betray trust, and an inspiring testament to the power of a single individual to champion justice, even against formidable odds. Elise's ascendance within Sterling and Finch was not merely a matter of rank, it was a profound shift in influence. Her insights, sharpened by her ordeal, proved invaluable in guiding the firm through a period of introspection and reform. She was instrumental in shaping a new internal reporting system, streamlining the process for employees to confidentially report ethical violations without fear of reprisal. This initiative, championed by Elise and fully endorsed by Liam Thatcher, became known informally as the Sinclair Protocol, a quiet nod to Ava Sinclair, a former colleague Elise had seen suffer under subtle workplace abuses, and whom she sought to protect with this new system, signifying a cultural shift within the firm towards greater transparency and accountability. She also initiated a mentorship program specifically designed to support junior female associates, recognizing the insidious ways in which ambition could be stifled or redirected through subtle discrimination, an echo of her own early struggles with Adrian. She personally mentored several promising young lawyers, including Piper Alden, who flourished under Elise's guidance, demonstrating not only exceptional legal talent but also a developing ethical compass. Elise fostered a new kind of leadership, one based on empathy and firm principles, rather than just hierarchy. The ripple effects of Adrian's departure continued to manifest. The investigation into his financial dealings, though kept tightly under wraps by the firm, led to quiet legal action against him, recovering a significant portion of the embezzled funds. Elise, though not directly involved in the legal proceedings against Adrian, felt a sense of vindication in knowing that his actions had concrete, legal repercussions beyond just dismissal. The restoration of justice was multifaceted, encompassing not just her own career, but also the financial rectitude of the firm. Her relationship with Liam Thatcher evolved into one of deep, mutual respect. He increasingly relied on her judgment, not just in legal matters, but in questions of corporate ethics and internal policy. He even confided in her about the personal shame he felt for having been blindsided by Adrian's deception, a rare moment of vulnerability that cemented their professional bond. Elise, in turn, offered not just legal advice, but strategic guidance on how to rebuild trust within the firm. The firm, under their combined leadership, began to regain its luster, attracting new, ethically conscious clients and top-tier talent who were drawn to its renewed commitment to integrity. This period of rebuilding was arduous, demanding long hours, but it was a labor of love for Elise, a tangible way to ensure that no other employee would suffer the same injustice she had endured. Her personal life continued to thrive. Her relationship with Rhys Donovan deepened, his calm demeanor and unwavering support providing a crucial counterpoint to her demanding professional life. They began discussing future plans, a quiet stability that balanced the exhilarating dynamism of her career. Her friendships, particularly with her sister Isabella, provided an essential emotional anchor. She learned to compartmentalize, to leave the anxieties of work at the office door, finding genuine peace and joy in her personal connections. The scars of her past ordeal remained, a subtle reminder of the darkness she had faced, but they were now badges of honor, symbols of her resilience. She often reflected on the initial naive belief she held, and how it had been shattered, only to be replaced by a more mature, robust understanding of the world. She understood that evil could hide in plain sight, but also that vigilance, courage, and integrity could ultimately prevail. Her journey had not just been about reclaiming her career, it had been about reclaiming her faith in justice, and in herself. The future of Sterling and Finch, once clouded by Adrian's shadow, now seemed bright, illuminated by Elisa's unwavering commitment to ethical leadership, a beacon of justice in the complex world of corporate law. The Sinclair Protocol became a cornerstone of Sterling and Finch's renewed ethical framework, a testament to Elisa's unwavering commitment to preventing future abuses. The firm's internal surveys showed a significant increase in employee morale and a renewed sense of trust in management, a stark contrast to the climate of fear that had permeated the office during Adrian Cross's tenure. Elise continued to champion causes beyond her immediate legal duties, advocating for diversity and inclusion initiatives within the firm. She believed that a diverse workforce, representing a multitude of perspectives, would inherently be more resilient to ethical blind spots and more likely to foster an environment where integrity could thrive. Her voice, once hushed by anxiety, now resonated with authority and conviction in firm-wide meetings. Her mentorship of Piper Alden proved incredibly successful. Piper, under Elisa's guidance, not only excelled in her legal work but also developed a strong ethical compass, becoming a rising star within the firm and a vocal proponent of its new values. Elise saw in Piper a reflection of her younger self, but one guided away from the pitfalls she had encountered. This full circle, from victim to mentor, brought Elise a profound sense of satisfaction. The relationship between Elise and Liam Thatcher matured into an almost symbiotic partnership. They shared a common vision for the firm's future, a commitment to both legal excellence and unwavering ethical standards. Liam, who had once been a distant, almost imposing figure, now sought Elisa's counsel on a personal level, valuing her candid assessments and her unique blend of strategic brilliance and moral fortitude. He often tasked her with delicate, high-stakes matters, knowing she would approach them not only with legal acumen but also with an acute sense of justice. The financial ramifications of Adrian's fraud, while initially damaging, had largely been mitigated. The firm's proactive response and the successful recovery of funds had, paradoxically, strengthened its reputation in the long run. Competitors, initially skeptical, began to view Sterling and Finch as a firm that, while having faced a challenge, had emerged stronger and more ethical. The media, which had initially caught wind of vague rumors of internal turmoil, now reported on the firm's innovative ethical programs, often highlighting Elisa's leadership indirectly. Her name, while not overtly sensationalized, was increasingly associated with the firm's positive transformation. Her personal life maintained a comforting equilibrium. Her relationship with Reese deepened, culminating in a quiet engagement that brought joy and stability. She balanced her demanding career with a blossoming personal life, proving that ambition and happiness were not mutually exclusive. Weekends were spent exploring new cities with Reese, or simply enjoying quiet evenings at home with Isabella, a testament to the peace she had finally found. The fear and anxiety were now distant echoes, replaced by a quiet confidence. She looked back at her journey not with bitterness, but with a profound sense of gratitude for the lessons learned and the strength gained. She realized that the betrayal, though painful, had been a crucible that refined her, stripping away her naivete and forging her into the formidable attorney and ethical leader she had become. The story of Elise Carmichael at Sterling and Finch became more than just a tale of corporate intrigue. It was a narrative of profound personal growth, a testament to the enduring power of integrity in the face of adversity, and a quiet inspiration for all who sought to build a career based on unwavering principles. The firm, under her growing influence, truly began to embody the soaring eagle of its logo, not just as a symbol of ambition, but as a representation of justice and ethical flight. Elisa's impact at Sterling and Finch extended far beyond internal reforms. She became an unofficial ambassador for ethical corporate governance within the broader legal community. She was invited to speak at industry conferences, not about specific legal cases, but about the importance of fostering a culture of integrity and accountability within law firms. Her presentations, delivered with a calm authority born of lived experience, resonated deeply with her peers, highlighting the often unseen battles fought within the polished corridors of power. She spoke openly, though without naming names, about the insidious nature of psychological pressure and betrayal, and the strategic necessity of documentation and unwavering resolve. Her message was clear: integrity was not just a moral imperative, but a strategic advantage. She published articles in prestigious legal journals, sharing her insights on risk management and ethical leadership, subtly drawing from her own ordeal to illustrate complex theoretical concepts. These contributions cemented her reputation not just as a brilliant lawyer, but as a thought leader in the field of legal ethics. The Sinclair Protocol gained traction beyond Sterling and Finch, becoming a model for other firms looking to strengthen their internal oversight. Elise found herself consulting with rival firms, sharing best practices and advising on the implementation of similar mechanisms. This cross-firm collaboration, once unthinkable in the highly competitive legal world, became a testament to her influence and the universal need for stronger ethical safeguards. Her mentorship pipeline within Sterling and Finch continued to produce exceptional talent. Piper Alden, now a formidable senior associate, began to mirror Elise's dedication to ethical practice, becoming a strong voice for new associates and ensuring a healthy, supportive environment. The camaraderie within Elise's department was palpable, a stark contrast to the cutthroat atmosphere she had once endured. She cultivated a team that was not only brilliant but also deeply committed to mutual respect and shared values. Her engagement to Rhys Donovan brought a new layer of personal fulfillment. Their wedding, a small, intimate affair, was a joyous celebration of a life carefully rebuilt. Rhys, a quiet pillar of strength, continued to be her anchor, offering perspective and unwavering support amidst the demands of her increasingly public professional life. Their life together was a testament to the possibility of balance, of building a fulfilling personal existence alongside a demanding, impactful career. The shadows of Adrian Cross's betrayal had long receded, replaced by the light of her accomplishments. Yet, Elise never forgot the lessons learned. She carried a quiet vigilance, a keen awareness of the vulnerabilities within any system, and a deep empathy for those who might be facing similar struggles. Her journey was a powerful narrative of resilience, a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of adversity. She had not only survived a professional betrayal but had emerged stronger, more influential, and deeply committed to ensuring that her firm, and perhaps the legal profession as a whole, would be a place where justice, in all its forms, could truly flourish. The eagle logo of Sterling and Finch now seemed to represent not just power, but purpose, soaring with the ethical wings that Elise Carmichael had so painstakingly helped to forge. The legacy of Elise Carmichael at Sterling and Finch transcended her individual achievements, embedding itself deeply into the firm's institutional fabric. Her initial naive optimism, shattered and then painstakingly rebuilt, had given rise to a pragmatic idealism that became contagious. The Sinclair Protocol, now widely adopted as a best practice within the firm, was even presented at national legal conferences as a case study in effective internal governance, with Elise leading the presentations. Her name, once whispered in hushed tones of sympathy, was now spoken with admiration and respect, synonymous with integrity and transformative leadership. The cultural shift she spearheaded continued to deepen. Mentorship became a core value, with senior partners actively encouraged to guide junior associates not just in legal strategy, but in ethical decision-making and professional conduct. The firm's retention rates for talented female attorneys, once a point of concern, steadily climbed, as Sterling and Finch became known as a place where merit truly prevailed and where a supportive environment was prioritized. Elise's own career continued its upward trajectory. She was appointed to the firm's executive committee, a clear indication of her strategic importance beyond her legal expertise. In this role, she had a direct hand in shaping the firm's long-term vision, ensuring that its growth was always aligned with its renewed ethical principles. She championed pro bono initiatives, ensuring that the firm's considerable resources were also used to serve broader societal justice, not just corporate interests. Her voice became a powerful advocate for those without a voice, a direct extension of her own experience of being silenced and marginalized. Her personal life, grounded by her marriage to Rhys Donovan, provided a constant source of joy and balance. They welcomed a child, a daughter named Hazel, and Elise found a profound new dimension to her life, a deeper understanding of responsibility and legacy. Balancing motherhood with her demanding career presented new challenges, but she approached them with the same strategic thinking and unwavering determination that had defined her professional ascent. she found that the lessons of resilience and prioritizing what truly mattered, learned in the crucible of betrayal, served her well in this new chapter. The quiet evenings spent with her family became a cherished sanctuary, a stark contrast to the tumultuous nights of anxiety she had once endured. She often reflected on the complex journey that had brought her to this point, recognizing that Adrian Cross, in his destructive ambition, had inadvertently been the catalyst for her profound personal and professional transformation. The betrayal, though painful, had ultimately led her to a place of greater strength, deeper purpose, and profound fulfillment. She had not just restored justice, she had redefined it within her sphere of influence. Sterling and Finch, under the watchful eyes of leaders like Elise Carmichael, was not just a successful law firm, it was a beacon of ethical practice, a testament to the idea that even in the cutthroat world of corporate law, integrity could not only survive but truly thrive, embodying the essence of justice in every case it touched, every life it influenced, and every new generation of lawyers it inspired. The Eagle, now soaring higher than ever, represented a firm reborn, its trajectory guided by an unshakable moral compass. The firm's reputation, once merely robust, now carried an added veneer of ethical distinction, largely thanks to Elise's sustained influence. Sterling and Finch became a magnet for new talent, particularly young lawyers drawn to its progressive stance on internal ethics and employee well-being. This influx of fresh perspectives and diverse backgrounds further enriched the firm's culture, making it more dynamic and innovative. Elise, in her role on the executive committee, continued to champion initiatives that fostered inclusivity and transparency. She oversaw the establishment of a formal mentorship academy within the firm, institutionalizing the informal program she had initiated, ensuring that every new associate had a dedicated senior lawyer to guide them, not just through legal complexities, but through the nuanced ethical landscape of corporate law. This proactive approach to mentorship helped to cultivate a new generation of lawyers who were not only brilliant but also deeply grounded in integrity. Her influence extended beyond the firm's walls as well. She served on the board of several nonprofit legal organizations dedicated to advocating for workplace fairness and ethical conduct. Her insights and experiences, once a source of personal torment, now became powerful tools for systemic change. She spoke publicly about the importance of accountability, the dangers of unchecked power, and the necessity of robust internal mechanisms to protect employees. These public engagements solidified her standing as a respected voice in the broader legal and ethical discourse. Her daughter, Hazel, grew, bringing boundless joy and a new perspective to Elise's life. The delicate balance between her demanding career and her family life was a constant negotiation, but one she approached with a quiet determination, often finding that the skills honed in the legal arena, strategic planning, negotiation, and resilience, were surprisingly applicable to the complexities of motherhood. She discovered a deeper sense of self through this balance, understanding that a fulfilling life encompassed both professional achievement and personal happiness. Her marriage to Reese remained a steadfast source of love and support. Their shared life a testament to enduring partnership. They built a home filled with laughter and warmth, a true sanctuary from the often intense world of corporate law. The occasional pang of memory from her past ordeal would surface, a fleeting shadow, but it was quickly eclipsed by the profound sense of accomplishment and peace that now defined her life. She saw herself not as a victim of past injustices, but as an architect of a more just future, both for her firm and for the aspiring legal minds she now guided. The journey had been arduous, marked by profound betrayal and deep emotional scars, but it had culminated in a triumphant reclamation of justice, both personal and professional. Elise Carmichael had not just survived, she had flourished, transforming adversity into a powerful platform for positive change. The Eagle of Sterling and Finch, under her ethical guardianship, flew higher than ever, a symbol of not just power and prestige, but of unwavering integrity and a commitment to a better way. The enduring impact of Elise Carmichael's journey was evident not only in the continued flourishing of Sterling and Finch but also in the subtle yet profound shift in the broader corporate legal landscape. Her outspoken advocacy for ethical governance and employee protection resonated with a new generation of legal professionals who demanded more than just profit from their careers. Her articles and public appearances continued to challenge traditional notions of corporate responsibility, urging firms to prioritize transparency and accountability. The Sinclair Protocol became a benchmark, and other major law firms, eager to burnish their own ethical credentials, began to adopt similar internal frameworks, albeit often with their own branding. This widespread adoption was a testament to the practical efficacy of Elise's vision and her ability to translate personal adversity into systemic change. Her influence permeated various levels of the legal community. She was often invited to contribute to bar association committees focused on professional ethics and conduct, her voice a strong advocate for stricter oversight and clearer guidelines. Her unique perspective, forged in the crucible of betrayal, allowed her to offer practical solutions to complex ethical dilemmas, drawing on her lived experience to illustrate theoretical concepts. The firm itself, under her continued guidance on the executive committee, embarked on ambitious pro bono projects, leveraging its considerable legal expertise to address social injustices, a direct reflection of Elise's deep-seated commitment to fairness beyond the corporate realm. These initiatives attracted even more socially conscious talent, creating a virtuous cycle of ethical growth and professional excellence. Her daughter, Hazel, was growing quickly, a bright and curious child who brought immense joy to Elise and Reese. Elise meticulously managed her demanding schedule, ensuring that she was present for Hazel's milestones, proving that a high-powered career did not necessitate sacrificing personal fulfillment. She found a deep satisfaction in nurturing both her professional and personal legacies, building a life that was rich in both purpose and love. The bond with Reese grew ever stronger, their partnership weathering the demands of their busy lives with grace and mutual respect. He remained her confidant, her steadfast supporter, and her quiet counterpoint to the high-stakes world of corporate law. Occasionally, a news article would surface about Adrian Cross, perhaps detailing a minor legal dispute or a quiet bankruptcy filing in a distant state. Elise would read them with a detached interest, a brief acknowledgement of the past, but without any lingering bitterness. The man who had once cast such a long shadow over her life was now a fading memory, a cautionary tale that had inadvertently paved the way for her own profound growth and triumphant rise. She had not only survived the storm but had sailed through it, emerging on the other side with a clearer vision, a stronger resolve, and an unwavering commitment to justice. Her story, etched into the fabric of Sterling and Finch and echoing in the broader legal world, served as a powerful reminder, even in the darkest moments of betrayal, integrity could not only endure but ultimately inspire widespread transformation. The eagle of Sterling and Finch, soaring majestically against the horizon, truly embodied the spirit of justice, a testament to Elise Carmichael's enduring legacy. The tapestry of Elise Carmichael's life and career continued to unfurl, rich with purpose and impact. Her reputation as an ethical luminary grew, leading to an honorary doctorate from her alma mater, recognizing her contributions to legal ethics and corporate governance. She delivered the commencement address, sharing her journey with a new generation of aspiring lawyers, emphasizing the critical importance of integrity, resilience, and the courage to stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult. Her words resonated deeply, offering a pragmatic yet inspiring message that transcended the theoretical. Within Sterling and Finch, her vision for a truly ethical and inclusive firm had taken firm root. The Sinclair Protocol had evolved beyond a mere procedure, it was now a cultural touchstone, ingrained in the firm's identity. New partners were on board with mandatory ethics training led by Elise herself, ensuring that the principles of transparency and accountability were passed down through every level of leadership. The firm's internal communication channels, once a source of anxiety, were now open and trusting, fostering an environment where ideas and concerns could be freely exchanged. The once strained relationship with Griffin Hayes had mellowed over time. He had, through witnessing Elise's unwavering dedication and the positive changes she had brought, come to a quiet understanding of her original struggle. While they never explicitly discussed the past, there was a newfound respect in his demeanor, a subtle acknowledgement of her fortitude. Elise saw it as a testament to the firm's capacity for growth and self-correction, a validation of her belief that systems, however flawed, could be reformed. Her family life with Reese and Hazel remained her cherished anchor. Hazel, now a spirited young girl, filled their home with laughter and curiosity. Elise found profound joy in witnessing her daughter's growth, often reflecting on the lessons she hoped to impart, the value of truth, the strength of conviction, and the importance of empathy. Reese continued to be her steady partner, their relationship a testament to quiet strength and enduring love, a constant reminder that her life was not solely defined by her professional accomplishments. The echoes of Adrian Cross's actions, once a source of torment, had truly faded into the distant past. His name was rarely, if ever, mentioned within the firm, replaced by a collective focus on the positive future Elise had helped to shape. She had not only dismantled his malicious scheme but had built something far more resilient and morally sound in its place. Her journey had been a powerful affirmation that justice, though sometimes a long and arduous path, was ultimately attainable, and that even the deepest betrayals could serve as catalysts for profound personal and systemic transformation. Elise Carmichael, the young lawyer who had once believed so innocently in the system, had not only reformed it but had become a living embodiment of its highest ideals, a testament to the enduring power of integrity in shaping a legacy that stretched far beyond her own lifetime. The Eagle of Sterling and Finch, soaring high above the city, now represented not just the pinnacle of legal excellence, but a shining beacon of ethical leadership, a light guided by Elise's unwavering moral compass. Elise's professional influence eventually expanded beyond the confines of law. Recognizing her exceptional leadership and her commitment to ethical practices, she was invited to sit on the board of a prominent national foundation dedicated to promoting corporate social responsibility. This new role allowed her to advocate for broader systemic changes, extending her impact to a multitude of industries beyond the legal field. She became a powerful voice for ethical governance, diversity, and environmental sustainability, leveraging her experiences at Sterling and Finch to champion a more conscientious approach to business. Within the firm, her legacy was undeniable. The Sinclair Protocol was now simply known as the Standard, a fully integrated and almost instinctively followed set of guidelines for ethical conduct and internal reporting. Younger associates, many of whom had joined the firm specifically because of its reputation for integrity, viewed Elise with profound respect, seeing her not just as a successful lawyer, but as a living embodiment of the firm's core values. Her mentorship program continued to thrive, producing a steady stream of talented and ethically minded legal professionals who would carry her principles forward. The firm's success, both financially and in terms of its reputation, was a clear testament to the power of ethical leadership. It was no longer just about recovering from past missteps, it was about leading the way. Her personal life remained her cherished sanctuary. Hazel continued to grow, her vibrant personality bringing immense joy and perspective. Elise found a profound sense of purpose in nurturing her daughter's development, instilling in her the same values of integrity, compassion, and resilience that had guided her own life. Her marriage to Reese deepened further, their shared life a foundation of unwavering support and mutual understanding. They carved out precious moments together, ensuring that their personal bond remained strong amidst their demanding careers. The painful memories of Adrian Cross had long faded, replaced by a quiet strength and a deep sense of accomplishment. She occasionally read news of his continued struggles, small, insignificant mentions in local papers about failed ventures or minor legal entanglements, but they held no power over her. He was a cautionary tale, a distant shadow against the bright landscape of her life. Elise's journey had come full circle, from a naive associate to a respected leader and an ethical beacon. She had not only survived a profound betrayal but had transformed it into a powerful force for good, reshaping not just her own life and firm, but contributing significantly to a broader movement for ethical conduct in the professional world. Her story at Sterling and Finch became a timeless testament to the triumph of integrity over deceit, a lasting inspiration for generations to come, symbolizing that even in the face of profound adversity, justice could not only be restored but could become the very foundation upon which a more principled future was built. The Eagle of Sterling and Finch soared, not just as a symbol of legal might, but as an emblem of enduring ethical power, its flight guided by the unwavering moral compass of Elise Carmichael. Elise's professional life continued its remarkable trajectory, reaching a pinnacle where her influence was felt not just within the legal sector but across broader societal echelons. She was eventually nominated and confirmed to a federal judicial appointment, a testament to her unimpeachable character, her profound legal acumen, and her unwavering commitment to justice. This was a significant step, moving her from advocating within the system to directly upholding its principles from the bench. Her nomination was widely lauded, seen as a triumph for ethical leadership and a recognition of the transformative work she had championed at Sterling and Finch. During her confirmation hearings, her past ordeal, while never explicitly detailed, was subtly referenced by supporters as a crucible that had forged her unshakable resolve and deep empathy for those wronged by power imbalances. She served on the bench with the same meticulousness, fairness, and profound sense of integrity that had defined her entire career. Her judgments were respected for their thoroughness, their adherence to the law, and their underlying commitment to equitable outcomes. She became known for her clear, concise opinions, and her willingness to delve into complex ethical considerations that often accompanied legal disputes. The Sinclair Protocol, born from her personal experience, had by now become a widely adopted best practice across the national legal landscape. Cited in legal education curricula and lauded as a model for internal firm governance. Its foundational principles of transparency, accountability, and employee protection were echoed in ethical guidelines across various industries, a living legacy of Elise's resilience and strategic brilliance. Her personal life, though private, continued to flourish. Her daughter, Hazel, grew into a remarkable young woman, pursuing her own passions with the same dedication and integrity instilled by her mother. Their bond was deep and unwavering, a source of immense pride for Elise. Her marriage to Reese remained a pillar of strength, their shared journey a testament to enduring love and mutual respect. He was her steadfast partner, celebrating her triumphs and providing quiet support during the rigorous demands of public service. The distant memories of Adrian Cross, once a painful reminder of betrayal, now served primarily as a historical footnote, a contrast that highlighted the extraordinary distance Elise had traveled. She understood that adversity, while devastating, could be transformed into a catalyst for profound personal and systemic change. She had built a life and a legacy rooted in justice, demonstrating that even in the face of deep-seated corruption, an individual's unwavering moral compass could not only survive but could ultimately guide an entire institution towards a more righteous path. Elise Carmichael, the young lawyer who had faced down an insidious betrayal, had not only achieved personal vindication but had become a powerful force for good, her life's work a testament to the enduring power of integrity to shape a world more just, more equitable, and truly honorable. The eagle of Sterling and Finch, soaring ever higher, was now merely one of many symbols of the far-reaching and indelible impact of her extraordinary journey. Elise's influence, now solidified through her judicial appointment, began to manifest on an even grander scale, shaping not just the application of law but its very interpretation and evolution. She consistently championed legal principles that promoted fairness, transparency, and accountability, her opinions often setting precedents that reverberated through the court system. Her past experiences, particularly the betrayal she endured, provided a unique lens through which she viewed cases involving corporate malfeasance, employee rights, and ethical breaches. She approached each case with a profound understanding of the human element, balancing the letter of the law with its spirit of justice. Her former firm, Sterling and Finch, continued to thrive under the ethical framework she had helped establish. It remained a leading institution, celebrated not just for its legal prowess but for its unwavering commitment to its employees and its moral compass. Many of the lawyers she had mentored, including Piper Alden, had risen to senior leadership positions within the firm, ensuring that Elise's values were deeply ingrained in its future generations. They often referred to her judicial opinions in their own cases, seeing her as both an inspiration and a guiding light. Her former mentor, Griffin Hayes, now retired, sometimes sent her old-fashioned, handwritten notes, offering quiet congratulations on her latest judicial decisions, small gestures that spoke volumes about his eventual recognition of her character and impact. It was a subtle but profound closure to that particular chapter of her life. Beyond her judicial duties, Elise remained a sought-after speaker for legal education programs and ethics seminars. She emphasized the critical role of personal integrity in upholding the rule of law, using her own journey as a powerful narrative of resilience and redemption. Her story served as a compelling reminder that the pursuit of justice was not merely an abstract concept but a deeply personal endeavor, demanding courage and unwavering commitment. Her personal life continued to be a source of profound fulfillment. Her daughter, Hazel, was now a young adult, embarking on her own career with a strong sense of purpose and ethical awareness, a direct reflection of Elise's enduring influence. Their bond remained incredibly strong, built on mutual respect and shared values. Her marriage to Reese remained the bedrock of her life, a testament to enduring partnership and unwavering support. Their quiet moments together, reflecting on their shared journey, underscored the profound peace and happiness she had cultivated. The memory of Adrian Cross had long ceased to hold any emotional sway over her. He had become a mere data point in her journey, a stark example of what injustice looked like, and a crucial catalyst for her own transformation. She had not only overcome his malice but had used it as fuel to forge a life and a legacy of remarkable integrity and far-reaching impact. Elise Carmichael, the lawyer who had once harbored a naive belief in the inherent fairness of the system, had not only witnessed its flaws but had actively worked to mend them, ultimately ascending to a position where she could shape justice itself. Her life was a powerful narrative of triumph over adversity, a beacon of hope, and an enduring testament to the idea that true justice, forged through courage and unwavering moral conviction, could indeed prevail. The soaring eagle of Sterling and Finch, now symbolizing not just a firm but an entire ethical movement, flew in the shadow of the even greater heights reached by Judge Elise Carmichael. Elise's distinguished career on the federal bench continued for many years, marked by numerous landmark decisions that strengthened legal precedents in corporate ethics, whistleblower protection, and fair labor practices. Her opinions were frequently cited by other courts, her influence extending across circuits and impacting the very fabric of American jurisprudence. She became known not just for her legal brilliance but for her profound sense of fairness and her unwavering commitment to the principles of justice, particularly for the vulnerable. Her personal history of navigating betrayal had imbued her with an acute sensitivity to power imbalances and a deep understanding of the human cost of unethical conduct. This empathy was reflected in her courtroom demeanor and her written rulings. After decades of exemplary service, Elise retired from the bench, but her impact on the legal world and beyond did not wane. She remained an influential figure, sought after for her wisdom and insights. Universities competed to have her as a guest lecturer, and her memoirs, quietly but powerfully detailing her journey from ambitious associate to federal judge, became a national bestseller, inspiring countless individuals to pursue justice and stand firm in their integrity. The book, while not naming names, clearly articulated the psychological toll of workplace betrayal and the strategic path to overcoming it, becoming a guide for many facing similar challenges. Sterling and Finch, her former firm, had, by this point, fully embodied the ethical standards she had helped to establish. It was consistently ranked among the top law firms not only for its legal expertise but for its exemplary internal culture and commitment to social responsibility. Piper Alden, now a revered senior partner, continued to champion Elise's principles, often crediting Elise's mentorship as foundational to her own success and ethical compass. The Sinclair Protocol was taught in law schools, a testament to its enduring relevance. Her family life remained the cornerstone of her happiness. Hazel, now a successful professional in her own right, was a frequent visitor, and their relationship continued to deepen with shared experiences and profound mutual respect. Elise found immense joy in her role as a grandmother, imparting lessons of resilience and integrity to a new generation. Her marriage to Reese, having weathered the storms of demanding careers and public life, had matured into a deep, abiding love, a quiet testament to their unwavering partnership. They spent their retirement years traveling, exploring new passions, and enjoying the fruits of a life well lived and justly earned. The memory of Adrian Cross had long faded into insignificance, a mere speck in the vast, illuminated landscape of her impactful life. He represented a hurdle overcome, a darkness conquered, and ultimately, a catalyst for her ascent. Elise Carmichael's story was a powerful, enduring narrative of triumph over adversity, a testament to the transformative power of integrity, courage, and an unwavering commitment to justice. She had not only reclaimed her own life and career from the shadow of betrayal but had cast a long, bright light, guiding countless others towards a more ethical and just future. The legacy of Elise Carmichael was not just etched in legal history but woven into the very fabric of fairness, a beacon of hope and an eternal reminder that justice, in its truest form, would always prevail.